So the word femininity, that word, it seems to have become more trending
Woo, child.
where where many have opinions and knowledge about it. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this is my personal opinion. I think the word has gotten very diluted and extremely
Yeah.
misunderstood of its truest quality. And what I find a lot is that when something becomes trending, everyone wants to jump on the wagon and all of a sudden be the expert on something that they don't fully understand. They haven't even studied for themselves. And when it comes to the word femininity and what that means for a woman, I believe that the quality of its essence is very powerful. But when talked about wrong, it can be incorrectly interpreted. And many have defined femininity to be about overly sexualizing yourself, to how you only look from an external point of view, to makeup, heels, and nails, loving certain colors such as pink, being the girly girl, or even feeling like their femininity has everything to do with a man. Okay. Or better yet, not speaking up for herself. They think the feminine woman is very, very passive and just kind of takes whatever's thrown at her. And when that's the label, what happens to the woman who doesn't fit that description? Okay. Is she really considered to not be feminine? Or should she conform to this labeling of being a feminine woman, even though it doesn't align with what's natural to her? Or better yet, how can women not run from this quality due to past hurt and pain and begin to embrace this quality of themselves, all while being authentic to who they are? And so, what I wanted to do today, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I've been looking for a while for somebody to talk about this topic with, because I've seen a lot of people out here in these internet streets, and I don't, some things I just don't, it just don't sit right in my spirit, right? And so when I was looking, I saw this I saw this lady named Adrianna, and I saw a video of her talking about what femininity was. And that's what made me say, I need to talk to her. I want to reach out to her, right? Because I just loved her definition. I felt like it was very real and extremely authentic, and how she defined it. And so Adrianna Mason is an author, a speaker, and an advocate for young women and single moms. Her goal is to help young women live a softer life and rebuild their confidence, self-esteem, and self-awareness while transitioning into womanhood. After her own journey of becoming a teen mom and a divorcee, she has gained knowledge and wisdom that helps other young women and single moms learn how to afford themselves grace and forgiveness, and the ability to live a much softer and fulfilled life. And so, Adrianna, I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I wanted to kind of get into like some of your background of your story. I was looking on your page, and
Hmm.
you mentioned that you became pregnant at 17, and you
Yes.
went through a divorce.
Hmm.
Um how was that like for you? I mean, being 17, being a mom, and then having to experience a divorce. What was that like for you during that time?
I was absolutely a baby having a baby.
Mhm.
So I actually was very green as a kid. I grew up under a rock. So there was a lot of things that I didn't know. A lot of people assume that when you get pregnant that early, it's because that you out here just throwing it in a circle and just sneaking out at night and doing all that stuff. But that actually wasn't the case for me. I actually got
Mhm.
pregnant on my first time. For some reason, I thought that because it was my first time, that I would at least have a few times before pregnancy could happen. My logic and way of thinking when it comes to pregnancy and sex was just not there, because I don't think that I was truly educated and truly understanding, what really happens. Doesn't matter how long you wait to do it. It's not a time frame. So for me, I got pregnant on my first time, and that put me in like overdrive of just trying to make sure that I am the best parent that I could be, because
Right.
growing up I did not have a lot of stability. So immediately my mind went to just trying to make sure that my daughter would never have to like wonder about stability or having a room, having a house, all that. My mom did the absolute best that she could, but she was an entrepreneur. So my mom has been an entrepreneur since she was 10. As I got older, I realized why things were so unstable, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're not getting a check as if you're working a job. So all of those things did not apparently go through my mind at that time. So when I was 17, I was like, I don't care what I got to do, how I got to do it. I'm going to make sure there's stability. I'm going to make sure there's a house. I'm going to make sure I got this, and this. So I did that. And that's what prompted me to buy a house at 21. I was trying so hard to not be that statistic, because I didn't like the fact that when people saw me, they saw me with a child. Oh, you single mom, you're probably on welfare, you're probably this, you're probably that. And to be honest, I actually was never a single mom with my child. I was just single because her dad was and is very active in her life. But it didn't take away the fact that I was still finding myself and learning myself. And I got all of these amazing accolades, the career, the car, the house. And then I got married. I didn't get married to her dad, but we still co-parented. I got married and I chose the wrong partner. So I experienced being divorced. And for me, it was like, all right, yes, you've gotten all of these amazing accolades, but what do you keep missing in this area? Because you're just not making good decisions when it comes to your love life. You're doing it with credit, with business, with money. I had that on lock at 21 years old. My credit score was a 720. Like, I had a 3-bedroom home, 2-bathroom, nice, all of that was great. But I didn't realize that I had some inner things that I needed to deal with. And once I was able to deal with that, it was after my divorce. And in the process of me, being in that marriage, I started to realize certain things about myself that I wish I was able to have discovered prior to getting married, so that I wouldn't have been divorced. I would have been able to choose properly based off of my needs as a woman, and not just go based off of the amazing things that I was able to accomplish, and all of those accolades.
I love that. That's really good. And so how long were you married?
I was married for 2 years. We were together for 4 years. We went to middle school together. We were friends, all that good stuff, but we were married for 2 years.
And so you were married for 2 years. You were 21. You had a child at the time. And let's talk about this turning point for you. Because I'm one of them people, I look at people's page. I read stuff because I want to get to know people, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I was out here kind of, checking you out, just reading some of the things that you said. And in one of your posts, you said that you were not born as the feminine woman that you are now.
Right.
What inspired you to elevate into the woman that you are now, right? Like, what was really your turning point for you?
My turning point was truly my divorce. I realized that I actually did operate in it a bit more day to day, even when I was single and when I got married, but I was never able to truly like flourish in that. Mind you, my mom is the epitome of a feminine woman, but although we have the same mannerisms, I'm a completely different person. My favorite color is green. I like the Aaliyah vibes. I like all of that stuff. The army pants and the heels, like I'm that girl. So once I went through my divorce, I remember reflecting on just trying to remember, like, how did you get here? What happened? How do we make sure that never happens again? And all of the answers I was looking for started with figuring out who I am as a woman and being able to embrace that. I have heavy hands, heavy feet, broad shoulders. And I used to be so insecure about that because I felt like I was built like a guy. I used to be so insecure about holding a guy's hand because I felt like, oh my God, my hand is gonna like overpower his, or if I sat on his lap, I would just smother him. Like I had a problem with just my very way of being as a woman.
Right.
It wasn't until I completely just embraced me, because these are things that I have no control over. I can't help that I got these broad shoulders, but I can wear a nice little necklace and make it look nice depending on the outfit I'm wearing. I can't help that I have fat fingers, but I can make sure they're soft and gentle. I can't help that my toes are fat, but they can be pretty in that white polish all the time. So these were things that I just eventually had to embrace. And once I was able to do that with myself, my self-worth, my self-value, my self-esteem, and my confidence shot through the roof. And that was when I started to be able to truly flow and embrace in being that feminine version of myself.
I love that. I love that. And you're very beautiful, by the way, but I get
Thank
it,
you.
right? Like we have this image of what a woman should
Yes.
look like, and we compare ourselves to that,
Mhm.
and then we feel like I'm less of something
Yep.
because of that. Do you feel like even in your divorce, do you feel like that level of insecurity showed up relationally as well for you?
I believe that it did, but I
Mhm.
also believe that truly the best way for a woman to be able to operate in her femininity, her environment has to match, it has to be safe. It has to match that.
Mm,
So I'm sure that some of the things that I might have said or done made him be like, like, oh my God, this woman's tripping or whatever, whatever. But I also know that the environment that I was in did not allow me to trust. It did not make me feel safe. It did not make me feel reassured or secure. So it was just going to be a never ending cycle because it's two people that are looking at each other like, you tripping, and nobody
right.
knows why. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like the chicken and the egg. Yes, you're beautiful, so you should be feminine and do your thing, but I still need validation and reassurance from you. I still need to feel like I'm important. I still need things in my environment that makes me feel okay to do that. And if I don't get
Mm,
the proper response, it makes me kind of go back, and then that's when you get the guard and when you become more masculine.
mm. Man, that's good. And I got to go back to that. But
Mhm.
before I do, I want you to define femininity. Or I would say more importantly, authentic femininity, because I think they're just different to me. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just me, but I want you to define that because I believe the quality of the word is still it's important, but I think many people have kind of ruined it a little bit. So
I completely agree. Like,
yeah.
for me, femininity has nothing to do with what you see, but
Mhm.
how you feel, how your presence makes someone feel, how your presence makes yourself feel. A lot of us don't like to be alone because we don't like how we feel when it's just us. So for me, femininity is truly a way of being and feeling. It's like being in tune with yourself as a woman. It's peace, it's understanding, it's tranquility, it's calm, it's free. It's nothing that can be contained or a certain way. It's truly a way that you feel when you are operating in it, because you will always be able to tell when you are being that version of yourself, even if it's when you're just alone, if it's when you turn the candles on and you're running a bath, that soothing feeling that you get with yourself, that calm, that deep breath, that's what that is. It's a sense of true peace and just happiness and kindness and grace. It's all of those things. It has nothing to do with a bag, heels, or anything. Those are just materialistic things that can make a woman look feminine, because
Mhm.
there's a feminine look for sure, but there's a way of being. And that way of being is usually something that you cannot see, but you feel when you're in the presence of somebody.
I like that. That's good. Um, it was something else you said too. I know she like, dang,
Yeah.
she all on my page, girl. I was, honey. 'Cause I was like, let me read some of this stuff. But here's the thing. You said something that I thought was so profound. You was like, your vulnerability and femininity is absolutely for you first.
Yes.
And I love that. Like that did it for me, because I think that many people may do it for others
Yep.
and not do it for themselves first. And so I want you to kind of talk about what does that mean? Because I think that a lot of women shy away from it
Mm-hmm.
sometimes because they feel like I'm not doing this to get no man, and they make it so much about others as opposed to it being about them. What are your thoughts about that?
So here's the thing with that. The problem that a lot of us are fighting against our natural way of being as women. That's the
Right.
problem. Our
Mhm.
natural way of being as women is nurturing, is kind, is graceful, is understanding, is emotional. But we don't like to bask in emotions anymore because a lot of us have been hurt, we've been played, we've been all of these things. So what we're operating in is like defense mode. And we forgot that before we've gotten hurt, before someone has scarred us, before whatever it was, we were just being. We weren't
Mhm.
having to do anything for anybody. Our natural way of being is what would make people come to us because we carried that aura. When you are vulnerable, your vulnerability is not for anybody else. The problem, though, is when you become vulnerable, that ties into being emotional, expressive, being in tune with your feelings. Well, how do you do that if you're in defense mode? Because now you feel slighted that you've done that before and it's being used against you. So you can't operate in expressing, you know what? These are my boundaries and you crossed them. You know what? You hurt me when you said that, because we look at that as giving somebody a one up over us because we're expressing them doing something to us without realizing, being vocal to even tell people like, hey, you can't do this to me. I'm fragile. I'm an emotional woman. Like, you cannot do that to me. And I am actually a very balanced woman pertaining to logic and emotion, but you still can be vulnerable regardless of whatever your combination is, in saying, hey, I didn't like the way that you said that to me. I just really wanted to like talk about this with you because it really made me feel dismissed.
Mm.
That sentence in itself, women would be like, cut off season. I'm not about to be explaining. I'm not about to do all of that. But then you got to think about it. Well, why not? Why? How is it
Fear.
easier to just cut somebody off and internalize how they made you feel without realizing now you're putting that onto the next person? You're putting people on trial for things they didn't do because you can't just say, you hurt my feelings.
Yeah, that's
Like,
hard. Yeah, that's a hard
that's
thing
for
to do
you
that.
as a woman. It's not about them. It's about, hey, hello, you hurt me. I need you to address this. This is for you so that you can say, you know what? At least I got it off my chest. You've become
Right.
aware. The ball is in your court if you fix it. If you don't, you know that you're the reason why we'll never talk again. I told you what hurt me and you just didn't want to do anything about it. But that's considered weakness now. And it's really the opposite.
See, I like that because it's still saying I got boundaries. Like, don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying?
Period.
Like,
Yes.
like, don't, and I think we got to stop thinking that it's either or, right? It's a both
Yes.
and thing. Like, I
Yep.
can be a feminine woman and set boundaries. Like,
Exactly.
this isn't an exchange of me bringing this energy to you. No, I like that because I want to make sure that people understand this.
Yeah,
Um, do you think women are less feminine these days?
absolutely.
You do?
I do. And I know right now, a lot of women, we're in a time right now, I feel, where everything is like flipped upside down.
Mhm.
So I feel like so many of us, me included, have gotten hurt and dealt with narcissistic people and dealt with manipulators and liars and cheaters and dealt with all these things where we don't know how to be nice anymore. And that's a simple component of being a feminine woman. Be nice. I don't know about you, but when I go out and about and I see women around my age, they will look at you and stare you down before they smile and give you a compliment. They do. And that's a problem, because how do you try to operate in your femininity and make it about a man when you can't do it to the women around you or women that you don't know? So that tells me everything I need to know when I am meeting a woman. And don't get me wrong, I'm not someone that's just extremely like, hey, everybody, I'm not her. However, I would be like, oh my God, I love your shirt. Like, even your
Right.
hair, your hair is pretty. I love that, like, love it. But not everybody feels comfortable in doing that. Normally, the woman who does it, she's the one that kind of opens up that guard, the never ending guard that you have with the world, that makes you be like, oh, now I can actually give you a compliment back. But it's like, we're waiting for somebody to pull it out of us, which is why people think it's for a man, because men have found ways to pull it out of a woman because it's tied to sex, money, being taken care of, but it has nothing to do with that. We don't even know how to just be nice to other women. We don't know how to just compliment other women. We don't know how to just not size each other up. You know, we don't know how to do that. So no, I don't think a lot of women are feminine. I think a lot of women are competing with each other to be the hardest, hardworking, toughest, baddest woman in the room. And they're doing that without carrying that feminine energy.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about that, about honoring your worth, and that comparison trap is real.
Yes.
And so, no, I totally agree with that. Let's talk the word soft life.
Okay. Another trend.
Listen, I'd be like, okay, Adrianna, I'm one of them. I'd be like, I just hold my head and I'd be like, Lord have mercy. I ain't gonna lie, I do that. I mean, what is that this, would we define that? I mean, if we're really being honest, is it that the same as femininity, or is this just because I think that word, I've seen where a lot of women may have believed that word is about not doing anything, expecting things to just be handed to you mentality. Okay. Look,
yeah.
What are your thoughts around that word?
So there's a lot of confusion. So femininity and a soft life are actually not the same thing.
Okay.
Soft life is nothing new, but the term it's the same as saying that you want to be a kept woman. So your soft life, anybody can have a soft life. A soft life is any type of life that you have that basically does not cause you stress. You still get things done. You still make money. You enjoy your life. You are no longer in a position to where you are having to do things that you have to do. And you are now able to do things that you want to do. It could be a career. It could be a business. It could be being a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home wife. Even men. My husband lives a soft life. He's a software engineer and he works from home. That's pretty soft to me. So it's anything that you're able to do that actually relieves you of pressure or stress that you would normally have if you were having to do it in another way. People confuse that with femininity because there are a lot of women who make an amazing amount of money who are still too prideful to express their emotions. That's not a feminine woman. A woman that makes her money and gets the bag, you can live a soft life making $100,000 a month and traveling and all that. That's very soft. It's very passive income, which is the goal. But that doesn't mean that her character when she meets other women or her character when she's alone is soft with herself. It's feminine. It's captivating. It doesn't mean that, because you can make a lot of money to have a chef and to do Instacart and to have a cleaning company. You can make money to do that, which will create a soft life for you. But that doesn't mean that when somebody comes up to you, that your energy is not masculine.
Okay. So I would say what femininity is more of your character, more of your foundation, more of an internal thing, where soft life kind of is more of an external type of deal.
Yeah. So like a lifestyle.
Oh, okay. I like that. Oh, okay. I didn't look at it that way. Cause I'm like, I see it every
they join the two together all the time. But truly a soft life is what people have said when they've said, I want to be a kept woman. I don't want to have to be doing all of that stuff. I want to do what I want to do. I want my man to take care of the bills. I take care of the groceries, or I take care of the vacations, and I can go do my hobbies, and I can go start a business that I want to start. I can go take the kids to their games all the time. I can go do the things I want to do because someone else is doing the hard stuff, whether it's a husband or passive income that allows you to not have to be worried about it. The soft life is very similar to us saying that we want someone to take care of the hard stuff, and we just be the fun, happy wives or women who's enjoying our lives and not have to be worried about all of the hustle and grind and the bustle and traffic and all of that stuff.
Wow, that's I like that. Okay. I'm glad that you kind of broke that down, because at first I was like, okay, is this the same thing? I had to ask that because it's very trending. Like right now, it's extremely trending. I know that right now, I know you are remarried.
Yes.
How long you been married for?
2 months will be a year.
Wow. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I've seen clips of you and your husband. Y'all look so cute.
Thank you.
I've seen clips of you all, and I saw that there was a video that you and your mom did about with you mentioned that you got married in 10 months. Now I don't know if it was 10 months after your divorce or after you met who is now your husband. Like y'all met and then 10 months later you got married. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
Okay. I want to kind of talk about that because I know that for most would be considered a very short time.
Absolutely.
Right. How did your femininity play in saying this is my husband? Right. Because I'm sure that coming in with a different energy of yourself changed how you saw a lot of things.
Girl, yes.
Right. So,
oh my goodness.
So what made you, like, how did that impact, you saying like, this is he's it?
It had a huge impact because although I was able to operate in it here and there when I was married before, when I got divorced, I had complete control over my environment, my home. I renovated that, started making more money. My kids were in daycare and school. I really just had such a soft life. And that soft life allowed me to enjoy my time that I was spending with myself. And that right there was the key component that made every man that was trying to date me interested in me, because they knew that I was a mom. They knew that I was divorced, but they were so surprised that, like, wow, you're balancing. When I talk to you, you're not just talking about your kids. You're talking about going to wine tastings. You're talking about going to a matinee. You're talking about going to brunch. You're talking about getting a mani-pedi or going to the spa. Like, you're taking time for yourself. So in their minds, it was like, okay, I like her life. I kind of want to be a part of it. I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I do that? Because if she takes care of herself, she's taking care of her kids, and she got 3 of them, and she still has time, I wonder how she would take care of me. So I gave my husband a little bit of a hard time because he was almost interrupting this flow I was on. I was like, oh, come on. Like, what? Come on. But I was like, you know what? I had to keep reminding myself that, all right, you do want to be married again. As much as you're enjoying your soft life and this bubble that you're in, you do want to get married again. So what do you need to do? What kind of energy do you need to have to truly be someone who is operating as if they're looking for a husband? Now, I didn't think I was going to get married that quick. I did not think that, but I definitely was aware of how I was coming off, because he and I met on Match.com. And a lot of people hate online dating because I think they have a hard time putting their personality on a website. It's more of one of those things where, like, how when you're walking past somebody and y'all are looking at each other and you see him looking at you and all that, it's easier to kind of like do that little dance because you're in person. It's harder to do that when you're basically on a platform and you're basically trying to see, like, okay, are you really who you say you are? So I made sure, for one, when I did talk to the men that would be in my inbox, I made sure to give them conversation of someone who actually was looking to date. That was the first thing. I know my husband had experienced so many women with the whole, if you this, swipe left, if you that, do this. I didn't do that, because to me, that's not the energy of a woman who's looking for a husband. You don't complain about all the things you don't want while you're looking to be somebody's wife. Instead, I gave some brief descriptions. I uploaded, he said it was 21 photos of myself. And I was like, well, I wanted you to catch me at every angle so you knew I was real. No confusion. But I made sure to have great conversation to truly get to know who he was, not just waiting for him to send me a message all the time first, or waiting for him to call me first, even though he did that anyway. But I presented a situation to where he felt comfortable, like he wasn't bothering me, but I was actually interested in him. And then when we started to date, he would tell me all the time that, like, I was the only woman that truly was trying to learn him. And that stems from just me being a very curious person, but also not judging a book by its cover. I just, I've been married. I had all these thoughts about men, but not carrying that over to meeting this man who honestly doesn't give me any reason to believe that he would do things to me that my ex would do. So it was a lot of like self-reflecting and really talking with myself and paying attention to how I was coming off when I was talking to him. And that was how he noticed, like, oh, you're very, you're patient. I was never called patient before. My ex-husband will not tell you that I was patient. I like,
Mine wasn't
but
either.
yeah,
Mine
but
wasn't either.
I
Mm-hmm.
learned. I learned because I'm a very logical person. I like to plan my future. I like to plan my life, hence me buying a house at 21. But I learned to be in the moment and not jump so far ahead, not think every guy that I'm going to meet is my husband, but basking in the moment and just embracing the conversation and being able to not just wait for him to ask me a lot of questions, but ask them back, truly get to know who this person is that I'm talking to. And in doing that, he told me, like, you are like, even the way that you walk. And mind you, I was a tomboy. I had to really learn how to be a gentler version for myself, but it was for myself. It benefited everybody else because I didn't like how every time I would tap someone on the shoulder, they'd be like, dang, like, can you like still out? So I learned how to do that for me, and it benefited him.
Right.
All of the things that I was doing while I was living my soft life ended up benefiting him because I made time to go on dates where people are like, how do you have 3 kids and you make I figured it out. I wasn't having to rush because I was already operating in having a balanced life. I was also, making time to talk to him and making time, to not just be the one talking, but also be the one listening, paying attention to the things that he said and the things that he didn't say, being aware of the things that he experienced in his life, because he's also married before. So being aware of the things that he experienced and trying to be understanding in how to do things to show him that I hear you. I was the only woman that ever like truly surprised him. Like I was the only person who ever put in a lot of effort for him to feel understood. And even though there are moments and times where we both are like, you don't understand anything, overall, he's like, yo, hands down. No, and mind you, I'm 10 years younger than him. He's like, I really didn't want to date someone that was younger than me because I didn't think they had the ability to do that. But he was like, you found a way to really learn me in a short amount of time to where I know this man like the back of my hand. Like I really do. And he could feel that. And it was intentional because once I started to notice, like, okay, this is a very genuine guy. He's a good guy. He's a traditional man. He's Nigerian American. So he has structure. He believes in being the one that takes care of, certain things in the house, and his wife is taking care of other things. He's very smart, very intellectual, all of the things that I said that I wanted. He checked every box. So I was like, wow, this guy's going to make me vulnerable. And I was like, okay, I could either run away and be like, no, this is uncomfortable, or I can sit in the discomfort of finally being vulnerable again. And once I decided to do that, it was a wrap. I was like, yeah, you're going to be my husband because I'm not doing this for just anybody. Like, I'm not going to do that. You're
right.
him.
Because that is like you said, that, I mean, I think that would be an honor for people to be able to see that side of you. Like everybody doesn't get the opportunity to experience that. And I think that when you allowed yourself to say, I'm going to embrace this authentic feminine side of myself, that just, it just kind of automatically allows you to, I don't know, have a third eye for everything. It's like
literally, yes,
right.
It's truly like, it's like navigation. It truly, it's like alignment, constant alignment, because your feminine, your authentic feminine way of being, it alerts you when you're not safe. We ignore it all the time. We don't know that that's what it is, but it alerts you when you cannot be vulnerable, when you cannot, give that part of yourself. But because of reasons like attractiveness or money or sex or whatever, we ignore it and we try to act like, okay, well, maybe that will change. But when you truly are in tune with yourself and you bask in that that way of being, that feminine energy, it truly becomes a compass. And because when I was with him, my compass was like, okay, sis, you can rest. I was like, all right, husband.
Right. because you felt safe. And I think there's somebody out there that be like, well, I mean, they don't appreciate it, right? But again, that compass will let you know that this person isn't deserving
Yes.
of that side of you. And then that other part of you also needs to say, I need to also set my boundaries. Right.
Absolutely. Yes. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Right. And I want people to get this, because I think sometimes when you do it for the wrong reasons, this type of stuff happens. When you allow yourself to say, no, I'm doing this for me, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Adrianna, that was not me. Feminine. Oh, girl, I'm mad. I listen, y'all. Let me tell y'all.
You're
And I'm gonna tell,
honest.
this the honest. I'm very honest about this stuff. And I say this because here's the thing. You said I was a single mom. I had 3 children, and I still allowed myself to do this. And I kind of want to go into that part, because a lot of women who listen to this podcast are transitioning out of a marriage, whether it's marital or non-marital, and have maybe developed this need or mindset of believing I have to do it all. I can't trust anybody. How can women still embrace this side of themselves? Because I think a lot of the time, and I'm going to speak for me, y'all, when I say this, I think in terms of embracing my femininity, it was actually before I even got married. I never embraced that side of myself. I've always been told that I've been strong. And I wanted to live to that expectation. And when I was married, I was like, I didn't feel safe during that time. And then after that, I was like, I'm this single mom, so I got to be both parents, and just the stuff we tell ourselves, I think also, brings that type of energy as well. How can women be more of a feminine woman and a mother while being single? I think what are some things that they honestly can do? Because I as I listen to it, I agree. But then it's about implementing it. It's about being intentional now. It's about thriving. It's about saying, I am going to do, as what you say in your book, an identity switch, right? How can a woman do that? What are some things that she honestly can do?
I'm not going to lie. It is very difficult. Mainly because when you experience something like a divorce or just a serious relationship breaking apart, you likely will have trust issues. I know I did. So it makes it very difficult to believe that anybody will ever be able to take care of you, love you, make sure you're straight the way that you will for yourself. So it's extremely easy to be like, I got it. Me and my 3, that's it. That's all we're going to do. The problem though is, just because the man is removed, it doesn't mean that you are no longer responsible for even how you engage with your children, because they deserve that soft version of you too. A lot of us had yelling, cussing moms, and that's not okay, especially if you're saying that you don't want to be that. You have to be aware of what you are doing, even when it's just you and your kids, which means that you're going to have to accept apologies that you may never actually get. You may have to forgive yourself for accepting things that you now know you should have never did in the first place. But either way, you're going to have to hold yourself accountable for how it started in the first place. It's really hard to do that when you're still holding on to the pain and the principle of the thing. Because I'm a principle type of person.
Right.
Like, you should not have done that. Like, that was not okay. But you can't make somebody, you can't hold them responsible for stuff that they may never think they did wrong. You'll be waiting forever, and you'll hold this thing in your heart that does spill over to your kids, that does spill over to how you take care of yourself, that does spill over to how you work. And one of the biggest things that I did was, when I was in the process of my divorce and I understood, like, okay, this is about to happen, because I'm the one that wanted it. We agreed. We didn't have any, it was a smooth divorce. However, I was very disappointed because we said that we were not going to have our kids not have a 2-parent household. I beat myself up over that, because in wanting a divorce, you are basically doing the opposite of what you said you wanted to do. However, I realized that, yes, that's what I wanted for them, but that doesn't mean it has to be with this person. That doesn't mean that all is lost, because what I should have done before even bringing kids in was make sure that I chose the right person. But I can't go back and do that. But what I can do is allow them to see something a little bit healthier than what they probably would have saw had this divorce not happened. Being able to acknowledge and recognize, okay, this is my L. This is what happens. We're going to have to do all of these things ourselves, but understanding like, this is not over. This is not it. You are still deserving. You are still loving. You are still that, you can still be that nurturing, loving, compassionate, understanding woman. But your kids need that version of you, which is why I hate when people say femininity is tied to a man, because let's say your husband died. They still need that from you. Right. But you have to practice being patient. You have to practice making time for them, making time for yourself. You have to practice boundaries. These are all of the things that if you don't do this before you even meet a man, you will run into the same problems, because men will test your boundaries. They will test your patience. They will test all of those things. But you need to be practicing this in-house with yourself and your kids. If that means letting them know, hey, it's mommy time right now. I will let you guys know when it's time to eat. Do not knock on my door. I will come to you. I will come to you. Right now, it's dinner time. After dinner time, it's bedtime. There is no, there is no none of the other stuff. Just it's what mama said. So let's get accustomed to that so that you then can make time for yourself with your mommy me time, that you don't have to wait until they go to school to get it. You don't have to escape to go to work to get it. No, you should be able to have it in your home that you paid the bills for. Listen. You should have that. Have right there. It doesn't matter how old the child is either. Setting those boundaries for yourself with anybody, because we cannot be the most amazing mom in the world and pouring into them if we are dried up and tired. And it's not their fault that we're dried up and tired. We're working, we're doing all these things, but some things can take a back seat. Some things can wait until tomorrow. We just have to be diligent in knowing what those things are. You don't have to do everything in a day. Make time for them on Monday. Let them know, hey, today's a work day. So we're not gonna be able to do that today, but we will on Friday. All right, it's Wednesday. You guys want to go to the park? All right, we can only be here for an hour because I have some things to do, but let's go get some snacks and go to the park. Hey, it's mommy time. Leave me alone.
Listen, no, I like that, because I think sometimes that guilt sets in of feeling like I gotta be and do all things. Specifically when you may not even have maybe the parent may not be as present. You definitely feel obligated to take on so much. And when I tell y'all, I did that and I started getting health issues because of that. Yes. So this is not just about, it's a real thing. Like you start when you overly do, I overly did. And I started getting panic attacks where it was impacting my health. I was, when I think about it, I can't even believe I did all that. I was like, how dare you do that to yourself? But I wasn't in that energy where I am now. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I want more women to understand the authentic part of femininity and truly embracing it in a way that really connects with who they are. And you said something about, actually, I want to ask this question because, being a woman, specifically a Black woman, do you feel like we struggle with this? And I'm not saying other cultures don't, right? I just, there's a lot of talk about us just in ways that can be very disappointing. From our own, actually. But do you feel like we struggle with this like a lot?
Yes. It's not our fault, but the end result is the same, regardless of whose fault it is, because we are the only ones that say that we have to be mom and dad when we are single mom. Single dads don't say that. They just be dad and they go find a wife to be mom. But we have we go into like complete protect mode when things don't happen the way we expect them to. And instead of saying, you know what, I literally cannot do all of this stuff. I either need to outsource help, I need to get a nanny, I need to get some type of help. A man, even though for some reason, it's like we don't like to think of men as being helpful, which is the problem in itself. using them for what they're here for, we just take it all in. And we will have health issues because we're not made to deal with everything. But we voluntarily do it, honestly, out of just the mom guilt, pride, and feeling like we're supposed to. Nobody told us that we're supposed to do that. Like, we're supposed to be able to ask for help. But again, your environment dictates if you're able to really do that. Because I was a single mom while I was married. And I was also a single mom when I was single. That is truly a thing. And there's a difference. To be honest, it's worse being a single mom while you're married than being just a single mom. I found myself being able to just breathe better when I was just a single mom. But that's because you get complete control of what you want to do. But sometimes that control, we are blinded by it because we don't know how to let somebody come in and help us. We're really quick to let people know, well, these aren't your kids. I got it. And don't realize, well, saying that doesn't make anybody want to come to our rescue when we do have problems with these kids, because as we know, it takes a village, but we don't know how anymore to phone the village. Like, hey, we don't know how to do that. It's even when the other parent is not as active. There are so many other ways that we could try to go about doing it, but we kind of feel less of a mom or less than when we're not able to make it all the appointments and do all of these things. I relinquished mom guilt a few years ago because I was like, no, y'all are not going to eat me alive. Now, of course, I'll still have moments where I'm like, dang, I'm going to make sure I spend more time with them tomorrow because I didn't get to do it as much today. But to make me feel bad for already trying to do the best that I'm trying to do. And the thing is, the kids don't even ask for that. They really don't. We do that to ourselves. Like, but I cannot allow myself to feel bad for just being one person. You just, you can't. And you have to be able to find a way to balance and getting them to understand, like, hey, we won't be able to do this right now, but we can do this. And in that way, you're setting realistic boundaries for them so that they don't think that you're supposed to be at their every beck and call, because that's what we try to do. We try to be so available for them, and we're not available for us. But then we get super frustrated with them, super annoyed for honestly things that they would probably be doing just because they're kids. That's the reason why we have to find that balance, not just for them, but for us, because as moms, we get overstimulated. It's like, why are you calling my name again? Like, what do you need? I fed you. You took a shower. Like, what? And they're just not even aware, they're just not. And then we feel bad because we've got overstimulated. It's like, just give me a second. I can't do all of that today, but we will get to it. I will let you know when. And being able to not feel bad for saying that. You can still have those moments with your kids where you're talking to them and all this other kind of stuff, but they have to understand, like, my life does not revolve around you. It does not. I am not a mom that believes that my life revolves around them, because if it did, oh my God, I would have like 8 arms, like, and I only have 3 kids. I live for me first, because if I'm out, so are y'all. So I have to find a way to create a balance, because kids won't do it until they become adults themselves. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we used to call your name all the time. We like, okay, I get it, because they normally become parents. Or even when they get off to college, certain things click. Certain things click for me. A lot of things that I have to deal with my kids. I remember my mom used to, I'm closing the kitchen at 9 o'clock because y'all always eating. Now I'm closing my kitchen at 8 o'clock because they want all the snacks. And I remember back then, I'd be like, what kind of mom closes the kitchen? Well, me. Now I close the kitchen.
I know. I get it.
Some things don't register until later. But as long as you know what your intention is, and as long as you're having those healthy conversations with them and letting them know the answer is not no, it's just not right now. I think that we have to find a way to do better in that, because then that's when we can receive help, even if it's receiving help from the bagger boy at Publix. We'd be like, no, I got it. Let the boy help.
Right. Like, and so I think it's safe to say that this is something that needs to be embodied just on a daily basis. This isn't, again, going back to, this is not about a relationship status with someone. It's more about the relationship you hold with yourself, like letting someone open the door for you, or someone saying, you know what, I'll do that for you. Or even just telling your kids, hey, could you, especially based on their age and things that they're capable of doing, hey, could you take care of the dishes tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, I think, are so important in terms of just, having a different type of energy about yourself in regards to your womanhood.
Yes.
I love that. I think that's pretty good. I do. Because I've struggled. I ain't even gonna lie, I've struggled with this, honey. This, I'd be like, child, please. That was me. I said, hey. But I've definitely, it was almost like I had to, I couldn't like I had to change my lifestyle
Yes.
in a lot of ways because it was really impacting me. Now I know you wrote a book. You and your mother actually wrote a book called
Mm-hmm.
Identity Switch. Um Becoming the woman who gets what she wants.
Yes.
What is that book about?
So that one in particular is my mom's, and I ghost wrote that one. And then I wrote one called Identity Switch, Transitioning into Womanhood.
Oh,
Basically like
okay.
the younger version of the process before you get to her, in hopes of maybe you don't have to deal with this if you kind of follow through with this one. Both of them, though, are about how we both end up having to transition. My mom had me at 18.
Okay.
I had my daughter at 17. My
Mhm.
grandma had my mom, I think, at 19 or 20 years old. So we were mothers very, very early.
Mhm.
And my mom did not live by herself until she was like 42 years old. So that book in particular truly embodies just the process of someone who's been having to figure it out for so long and then truly flow and flourish into being that natural version of yourselves, the authentic version of yourselves without even after your kids are grown and gone. And for me, the transition into womanhood was such a journey for me because although I became a mom early, I thought that meant that I was grown. And I absolutely was not. I don't think I became grown or truly a woman until I embraced myself after my divorce. All this time, I got a house, I did this, I did that. But it's like, yeah, but look at the decisions you're making over here. Grown women don't do that. So you need to sit down and rethink some things so that you can truly be like, oh, I had a problem with thinking that I was invincible. I thought everything had happened to everybody else, but not me. And then everything started happening to me and not everybody else. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stop hitting my head on a rock and truly pay attention to this journey that I'm going on as a young woman. I'm a mom. I was a mom of one, got married, became a mom of three, trying to figure out like how am I gonna do this? Like, how do I manage three children by myself? And just the whole roller coaster of divorce and co-parenting, like how do you do that? And then I
Yeah.
truly realized that honestly, it's not about anybody but me. I'm the one that controls how I want my life to be. I control the people who should be in it that will have a positive influence on me to keep that type of environment in life the way that I want it to be. I forgot that I have a say so. I can be the type of
That
woman
part.
that
I
I
love
want.
that.
Like I don't have to just say yes to everything. I don't have to feel bad for saying no. Like I have more power than I was using because I didn't know it was okay to be vocal. I didn't know it was okay to not know. I didn't know it was okay to ask questions because I felt like I should already know. I bought a house. I did this. I'm a mom. But it's like, no, actually, I don't know. And I need help. Can you help me figure this piece out? And I became someone that was so, I love talking to like older women, wise women. I became someone who ended up just having so much wisdom at a young age because of the process and things that I went through in that book. I talked a little bit about my dating journey and having to be tested after I felt like I grew and really deciding like, wait, is this a test or,
Mhm.
you know, because we go through those moments when you go through something. In order for you to really know that you've grown, you do have to be tested. It doesn't have to be in a bad way, but in a way that really makes you see, do you still think this way or have you grown and do you know better? Do you see better? And once I became a feminine woman and I truly embraced being her, I'd never had money problems. I never disliked my life. I never had a problem with dating men, with having three children. I never had that issue. And then,
Mhm.
as you know, I got married 10 months after meeting this man online. So I was doing something right. Something. And a lot of it goes to being able to just be her. And that's the goal, I know, for a lot of women, but it looks different for everybody. For me, it was just, I just want to be a woman who enjoys what she does, takes care of her kids, makes her money, has a husband that takes care of things, and just be. Like, I don't have a dream job. Like, I just want to do what I enjoy. I want to have a nice amount of money. I want my kids to enjoy their lives. I want just to be like, I don't want the struggle. I've already been there, done that. I don't need to hustle and be exhausted. I don't want to be so busy that I don't know when to rest, because I feel like the biggest thing that I learned with becoming a single mom again after getting divorced was I needed time to rejuvenate and reset, because that is what gives me the energy to be a mom and to be a wife and to be whatever else it is that I need to be. So being patient with myself, giving myself grace, giving myself understanding, all of those things, that was a part of my journey of becoming a woman. And I can finally say, like, yeah, I'm a woman now. I didn't been through some things, and I've learned some things, and now I can spread some wisdom in hopes of other young women not having to go through those unnecessary steps, because a lot of it is just not knowing and not being aware of your self-value.
No, that's good. And see, this is why the healing piece is so vital, of just, peeling back the onion of things that has maybe caused an individual to be someone that they can't even identify. And I know I talk a lot about the healing process, because I think I'm going to just speak safely for myself when I say I couldn't embrace that side of myself without getting to the root of my issues, right? Understanding what was going on in my head and in my heart. That allowed me to embrace the feminine side of me that aligned with who I was authentically, right? I think there were times where I felt like I was kind of being fake to impress somebody, right? Which that only backfires, because eventually you're just going to show up and be the real you, the you anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I think that healing part, it sounded like there was some just unpacking that Adrianna needed to do just for herself, by herself in that place of solitude when you were single. I love that you said that, because I think divorce puts a lot of limitations on people. On it, they allow it to define their worth and define what they can have and who they can become. But I love how you say, you know what? No, I get to decide. So here's the thing. I always tell people, you have a seat at the table of your own life. And a lot of us forget that we don't have a seat at the table. We give other people the power to determine who and whose we are. And I love that. I really do. And I know you say you're young. I don't know, how old are you?
I will be 29 this year.
Yeah, you're the same age as my nephew.
Oh my goodness.
You're the same age as my nephew. I'm 42. So no, but
no, you are not. You look amazing. Not that 42 is old at all, but girl, I would have thought you were probably like 35 years old.
Girl, don't get me, girl. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I am. I'm 42. I got a 20-year-old and I got a 15-year-old, and I got divorced at 29. And I didn't know what you got right now. I didn't get that at 29. I got it. I started my journey at 34.
Okay.
And over time, I started really embracing that feminine side of myself. But I love that you're doing it at such a young age, because honestly, it prevents a lot of things from happening. And I've talked to girls in high school, girls in college, women my age, and women older than me. We're really not that different like we think we are. A lot of the stories are similar, from the girl in high school, from the woman who's older. And so this what you all are doing, like you and your mom, I think is so needed, right? So we can start changing the trajectory, allowing ourselves to really embrace who we are. And so that's just what I love about it. I know we're pressed for time. What is it that you would like to say to the woman who's listening right now? Because I know, depending on what phase you are in your life, you're going to have the woman that's like, I ain't trying to hear that, whatever.
Right.
I ain't, whatever, Miss Tanya. I mean, I like your podcast, but I ain't feeling this, right? I love y'all too. But this is important. because I was there. And I have listened to your mom for years before I even I in the beginning stages, and I really love what she said, and that's what grabbed. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know that was your mom. When I
Oh,
looked you up, and I didn't know that until I saw. I was looking. I was like, oh my god, that is her mother. You look first of all, you look just like her. I don't know why. You guys are like twinning right now. And on top of that, I realized that I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say, y'all. I'm sorry. So yeah, let me go back. So that woman who maybe just starting it, she's not there yet, to even the woman that's like, you know, I've been doing this work and I want to get to that place in my life. What are some things that you can say to even both women?
the biggest thing that I would say to both women is, regardless of what your right now looks like,
Mhm.
it's nothing compared to what it can be when you truly start to show up for yourself and
Mhm.
believe that you are deserving of that life that you are waiting to create, because you can. I don't care what your story is. I don't care how your life started. I don't care how bad it was, because we have complete control over having an identity switch and choosing to be whatever woman we say we want to be. A lot of people hear
Mhm.
identity switch and they get a little freaked out because they're like, oh, are you impersonating? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? No, I was a girl who was a teen mom at 17, divorced by 25, and low self-esteem, tomboy. I went from making really good money to buy that house to coin surfing in my couch, trying to make it happen. I was her. The food stamps, the Medicaid, the using your last $5 of gas until it goes negative, and then you use your next check to fill it up or to balance it back. I was her. The Instacart, the DoorDash, I was her. But that did not matter, because I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do what I have to do so that I can become the woman who enjoys the life that she wakes up to. That was my
Mm.
goal. How was I going to do that? That wasn't my business. My business was knowing that it would change.
Mm.
So all I needed to remember was that, regardless of what it looks like right now, regardless of I have to choose between gas money and making my kids something to eat for dinner, I'm going to be in a position to where I will forget this even happened. I
Mm.
am deserving of love. I am deserving of being a woman who knows how to get the bag herself, but lets a man spend his instead. I am her. And I don't know what it is that I need to do, but I will do whatever comes to me, after embracing me, accepting the flaws, accepting the fat hands and the broad shoulders and not feeling sexy and not feeling beautiful. I will do what's needed to accept me, flaws and all, broken and all, to heal and remember that that identity switch is the key component that's needed for me to live the way that I know that I have the potential to live. It doesn't matter where you are or what stage you're in. Whatever your right now looks like will be different if you say so.
Mm. I love that. That is good. How can people find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram as well. My last name is a little complicated to spell, but I'm on Instagram under Adrianna Mason Onubogu. If you type in Adrianna Mason, it'll probably just pop up anyway. My website is adriannamason.com. My husband and I just started a YouTube channel called Our Love Legacy.
Mm.
And I mean, yeah, Facebook, Adrianna Mason. You guys can find me there. You can also get the Identity Switch book on Amazon under, again, Adrianna Mason. And I'm sooner or later, you won't even have to ask that question. I'm gonna just be everywhere.
Listen. No, I love that. And I'll put your handles down,
Mhm.
in the show notes so people can follow you. I appreciate you coming here. I do. I appreciate you just sharing, unpacking what that means in terms of femininity and how we can embrace it now, right?
Now.
Like
Mhm.
now, I think that's the part that I love now, not when you get somebody, not when this happens, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to do this for me. And I think that that's when you really allow yourself to really honor who and whose you are as a woman when you truly take that type of power back over your life. And so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And you take care.
Alrighty. You too.
All right.
Bye.